This is an exciting week for Pokemon Draft League. We got the BBL draft analysis dropping this Saturday, but first we got our first 3 weeks of the Frost Battle League, this SV Draft League. Super excited for it. If you are excited for it, make sure to like the video and subscribe if you have not already. We do a lot of Pokemon Draft League competitive content on this channel, and if you're not subscribed, you'll definitely want to get subscribed to see all the content we have in store over the next little bit. So we have our first battle of the season against Odin. They're well known within the Showdown community, really good player, so definitely off to a tough start to this season. Their team is on screen. The Pokemon they did not bring were Moltres, which I thought had some applications, but not particularly. Will-O-Wisp is decent against my team, but overall, there's just stronger Pokemon, as you see on the screen there. They didn't bring Terra Shaman, which was kind of interesting, actually. I figured Terra Shaman normal would have been a really good way to answer Spectre. I do not have a lot of good grass switch-ins to this team outside of Registeel, which can potentially be punished by the right Shaman set. Though, if you have to go into the normal type, you're weak to Body Press, which a little bit of an issue there. And then Ampharos, not the matchup for Ampharos. Ampharos is really good against stuff like Tornadus T. We don't have Torn T, so it's not coming this week. Things that they have on their team that are super problematic. Great Tusk really stresses my team. Defenses on my team. I have some ways to come into it, but Uxie can only come in so many times. So we're gonna really have to put the pressure on that Pokemon offensively and prevent it from coming in as many times as it will, and put offensive pressure, deal damage on it when we can. Terra Iron Boulder, John Jr. special here. I think this, is going to be probably one of their ways to answer Spectre with the booster speed. We have limited options for this Pokemon as well. We're going to get into in a second, and so as well as Roaring Moon. Like, this first 3 Pokemon just stress my physically defensive Pokemon so much. And the fact that they can be dark types with Iron Boulder, we'll see that actually in this battle. And then Roaring Moon really puts my Uxie under pressure, and Manaphy's got to kind of fight in a little bit of a defensive role too in this matchup. Tinglu can lock down some of this, but close combats are going to be really problematic for that Pokemon to handle as well in this matchup. So Uxie and Tinglu going to be stressed on the defensive side of this battle. Let's take a look at the team I brought. I have Colberberry Spectre. I expect a booster speed or Choice Scarf Roaring Moon to be the answer to the Spectre in this matchup. So we have Colberberry to prevent that from being an issue. Nasty Plot, Shadow Ball, Draining Kiss, and then we have Substitute. I like Substitute as a way to protect against random aggressive switches with Scarfers. I can set up a sub on a switch, break through something like the Empoleon or the Screamtail, and prevent something like Choice Scarf Gengar from being a problem after the fact. I don't really have a use for another coverage move on this, to be honest, is half the reason. So Substitute gets some niche utility in that sense. We have Spikes, Whirlwind, Earthquake, Ruination, Tinglu. We have a lot of speed on our Tinglu here to outspeed the Empoleon. If it's slow Empoleon, then we can get that one outpaced here with our Tinglu. Setting up Spikes, one thing to say about this team is we have Rocky Helmet Uxie on the build, is that if we can get up Spikes and force the Great Tusk to start rapid spinning, taking Spikes damage, taking Rocky Helmet damage, that's how we're going to be able to manage that Pokemon in this matchup. Force it to do its defensive role as much as possible and take damage while doing it. And then Earthquake obviously just nukes the Empoleon, and then Ruination's just a really good neutral click into all teams. We have Lumberry Iron Hands here. Lumberry was really crucial. We really needed an item to prevent Flame Body on the Moltres from being that much of an issue. It didn't come here, but it's fine against something like, random statuses that could come out. But really, that was there for the Moltres, so unfortunately a lost item there to a certain degree. We have a little bit of speed for the Empoleon in this matchup as well, but mainly just Adamant, deal as much damage as possible with Drain Punch, Thunder Punch, Ice Punch, and Heavy Slam. Our lead here in this matchup is going to be Manaphy. Manaphy is going to focus really defensively in this matchup, coming on Great Tusk when it has to. That's gonna, it's probably going to have to do that switch more than once, unfortunately. One thing to mention, I forgot about our Iron Hands is Terra. It is Ghost for spin blocking and Great Tusk, so get a little bit of a better typing against the Great Tusk and then spin block if we need it. And then Fairy on Manaphy. Fairy is just a decent typing to break random Terra Darks. It gives me a good typing against Roaring Moon as well, which is super nice. But this is going to be more very defensive in terms of what it's actually trying to do in this game. Hopefully trying to get a lot of Scald Burns and knock off some items if that comes up. As I mentioned, we have Rocky Helmet Uxie, nothing special here. And then we have a Stealth Rocking Registeel very spit off focus. We have a little bit of attack EVs to make that rock slide a kill on the Moltres as well, and give a little bit of damage to Earthquake. We have Flash Cannon here. Flash Cannon is important because you want to pressure the Great Tusk with a move that actually deals damage to it, and Flash Cannon is going to be one of the ways to do that in this battle. It's just to put that get a little bit more damage than something like a Heavy Slam would against Great Tusk. So let's get into the battle. They lead off with Gengar. I lead off with my Manaphy. It's a pretty free knockoff for me on this turn. I kind of expected them to switch, not want to take, the damage here if this is just some sort of lead Choice Scarf set, or, they would just attack and, we'd either, with my Citrus Berry, I'd, gain some HP back, prevent any 2-hit KOs or the like. They reveal to be Toxic Spikes, which my team doesn't have removal and is potentially, it is kind of weak to Toxic Spikes. I'm not the biggest believer in that Toxic Spikes are actually realistically a good move, but, that'll be another video for another time. I think Toxic Spikes in general, against my team and with their specific team and how they're going to play this matchup, I think Toxic Spikes are really, really good here, actually. So they're going to get that off early, and they're going to get the Destiny Bond off because they are faster and trade off my Manaphy. So a huge loss here early. Probably could have played around that. It's really tough to play around the Destiny Bond here. I would have had to go hard Spectrier, which is a risk I'm not really looking to take. And I can go Tinglu and try to whirlwind it out and kill it, but then I'm taking damage, potentially from a Focus Blast. It's not going to do a lot. I probably should have just gone Tinglu and started setting up some hazards instead of playing into the lead here. Manaphy would have been a really great Pokemon to have against Great Tusk and Iron Boulder here in this matchup. They're going to go into Great Tusk. I'm going to go into Registeel. I was hoping to get up my rocks here, but they're going to just go straight for the Headlong Rush here. Not getting complicated here. They do reveal the Mega Horn. This is going to do over half, unfortunately. And I go for the U-turn. Potentially an opportunity where I was staying in to go for the Side Shock. Sure, I lose some momentum against an aggressive, a Screamtail, an Empo, even aggressive Roaring Moon. But I have so much counterplay there. I might as well try to get my damage with Psychic here. Psychic would have put this basically dead at this point, which would have been game-changing for this battle. And a U-turn into Spectrum means I have to get poisoned on this early. So unfortunate sequence of turns there as I get a double here into my Uxie. Try to use this opportunity to Pain Split, get some HP back so I can continue to use it to answer the Great Tusk. Now what's really good about this, having Flip Turn, is it's kind of already weakened. This thing's already at 55% after the Pain Split and Rocky Helmet damage. And they go here into what is a Dark Iron Boulder. I don't think it actually shows in the replays the typings. It does, but the sprites are gone. So my typings are Fairy and Ghost. They have Dark here on their Iron Boulder. So they're going to Terra Dark, go for the Terra Blast. I'm going to live this. I really want to go for the T-Wave, get that T-Wave off. They do reveal to be Lumberry. Wow, that's tough. That is really unfortunate. Part of my game plan was to get this thing paralyzed. It becomes easier to check with something like the Spectre after being chipped. It becomes threatened by the Iron Hands. Definitely a tough one here. My Lumberry here, so we see 2 Lumberries in a row. It pops off here, and I'm able to threaten this thing out as they go into the Screamtail on the Ice Punch. They reveal Rocky Helmet too, which is going to be tough. This thing's, now that there's a Rocky Helmet user in the back, is going to take a lot of damage over the course of this battle. I really wanted Ice Punch to catch that Great Tusk and really need to make some plays to get back into this. And they just stay in here, and I take more Rocky Helmet damage here, expecting them to go into the Great Tusk again. They take the advantage of this to get the rocks up, and now they're just really whittling me down with this Rocky Helmet. And this game is kind of going from bad to worse, honestly. I probably should have just gone Registeel like I did now, much earlier, and they're going to get a free wish into their Great Tusk here. I get my rocks up. I know this Flash Cannon is going to just get wished away, so getting my rocks up is important. I know I can live this Headlong, and I want a free switch. As you can see, the Flash Cannon is doing 1% to this Great Tusk at this point, which is just not enough. And they're going to get another drop here after killing me with the Headlong Rush, but I am super far behind in this game. And I'm going to have to try to do something with Spectre to get going. I go for the double here. Try to catch this Empoleon here. I do catch the Empoleon, which is nice. They do reveal to be Citrus, J. Ricky Berry right there, and they're going to go right into Screamtail on the Drain Punch. Unfortunately, maybe I should have gone for Thunder Punch or Ice Punch a move to predict the switch, but alas, it is what it is. I'm just going to go hard Spectre here as they go for the second noise. This is an interesting play. I probably should have just sacked off the Iron Hands. kind of expecting them to just go for the kill, and then you get a free switch here. I guess the sack into the Iron Hands is kind of nice as they go Empoleon. Empoleon's obviously not going to take a lot from the Shadow Ball. We do get the drop though, so the drop actually potentially saving us some differential here. Well, definitely saving some differential, getting this kill. Spectre breaks through one, but unfortunately this Pokemon is probably going to be Choice Scarf, but it turns out not to be. It's Roselli Berry, interestingly enough, as they just go for the knockoff into my Colbur Berry. So interesting here, like, if I didn't, take as much chip as I did, and this is really where Toxic Spike takes advantage of a matchup like this, is I have some really, really close calcs here in this battle. It really pressures my Spectre from coming in that frequently, and really pressures the resist barriers that I kind of have to run here. So unfortunate there. I don't think a Rapid Spinner would have saved me in this situation, because I think a lot of the low tier ones, especially into this matchup, just wouldn't have been effective. So I think just the nature of the type of team that I have, that without those offensive Rapid Spinners, I'm going to be susceptible to these teams that have a good Toxic Spiker and have really good physical breakers, kind of en masse at the top. And that's why getting the Psychic is so crucial with the Great Tusk, and forcing these turns. The Lumberry is so critical in the Iron Boulder, as it makes this battle just so much more difficult to actually get through. Now we see a Heavy Duty Boots user, so we're not going to take a lot of damage. But we see here Outrage come out, and that does 27% damage. And unfortunately, okay, well, hold on. The game's getting a little interesting here. They only have Mega Horn here. Now, once again, if I had the, if I had access to, if I had the damage on this earlier, we might have been a whole different story on this game. But the Alarm Boulder probably breaks through me anyway, and I only have Earthquake Ruination. So at the end of the day, a tough loss to take early on in this week. We've been doing so well in these Showdown Leagues and the JJDL recently. Hey, it's about time we start losing some of these games. But good game to Odin here in this game. Definitely really took advantage of the Toxic Spike and the very, very physical top 3 core, taking advantage of Roselli Berry very well on Roaring Moon, where we would have expected Speed or Scarf as kind of a more, I don't want to say cleaner, but maybe an answer that had a little bit more utility throughout the rest of the game. Roselli, very good at targeting this specific situation I was setting up though. But yeah, good game to Odin. Let's get right into the next one. So we got our next game here against Penguin, hoping to bounce back. We have Tornti Terra, one of the premier Terra Pokemon in this deck. So we have Garchomp, Jirachi, Tentacruel, one of the best Pokemon in Scarlet Violet, apparently. Has the best win rate in DCL, very surprising, but on this team, Sinistcha with Terra, Azumarill, Iron Jugulus, Breloom, Ursaring, unfortunate for Spectre build, turn into an Ursaring, and the Cutiefly. Things to note here, man, Terratorn is a threatening Pokemon, that is for sure. We have some ways to deal with it. We have Tinglu, but with the right Terra and the right Nasty Plot set, it could even break through that, which is unfortunate. Garchomp, honestly, not a really good Pokemon into my team. I think all things considered, my Fairy type is Florges, which means Scale Shot is potentially free, but I can definitely run a Fairy type on my Iron Hands or Manaphy pretty freely in this matchup. Jirachi, potential decent. Obviously, you don't see it here. And then the other Pokemon we don't see here are stuff like Iron Jugulus, Breloom. Breloom is going to force prep, though. We do need to have a safety goggles user on this team to hold that. Luckily, Uxie is going to do a pretty good job at that in this battle. And then Cutiefly, we have to prepare for webs. We don't have hazard removal, so that is a consideration in this battle. We have to have a good lead for it, and we do have Lycanroc for that. Let's take a look at the team we brought. Agility, Weakness Policy, Spectre. I was considering running Weakness Policy Nasty Plot just to break through the Earth Ring, but I think Agility is nice just as an additional way to protect against Scarfers. We're not going to really take advantage of Weakness Policy plus Nasty Plot too much in the Earth Ring. It's probably better off to just attack twice into that situation instead of going for some crazy +5 sequence. Well, we know there's going to be probably a Scarfer or a priority user in Azumarill waiting for us in the back. We have a defensive Tinglu here, just a spike setter. We have a lot of speed on this Pokemon to help pressure something like the Azumarill. So that speed allows us to get that Azumarill and put pressure on Ursaring depending on its speed, which is super, super crucial to be able to handle those Pokemon. I really don't switch into Azumarill WoW long term, and we really want to pressure the Ursaring as much as possible. So fast Tinglu here, really, really crucial for this matchup to help open up my late game by getting that Azumarill gone. We have Terra Fairy on Iron Hands, Assault Vest Iron Hands. Look, it was always going to happen. There was always going to be Assault Vest Iron Hands sooner rather than later on one of these builds, and this is a good spot for it. It's a good answer to Terra Torn. They could be Poison, which would be a little bit frustrating to handle my Terra Fairy, but Assault Vest Iron Hands, great way to handle the Tornadus T. We have Terra Flying and Manaphy. I didn't really have a good Terra on this Pokemon. It's Tail Glow set, but honestly, we're going to see spamming Scald and Ice Beam a lot. And the reason I went with Flying here is it gives me a ground resist. I mean, I have ground resist in Uxie, but I feel like one of the sequences that's going to come with Manaphy that I want to Terra. I want to live Earthquake from Garchomp is kind of the main one here. Honestly, if we're thinking about it, I don't really need a Terra Blast here in this matchup, so that's what I went for Terra Flying for. I didn't expect to ever click it in this battle, but it gives me an immunity to Earthquake if I need it against the Garchomp. We have Safety Goggles, Uxie. That's really good for Breland. We need a way to handle Spore. I know they want to ban Sleep on the Redacted site, but hey, it is what it is. We got Sleep for now, so we got to prepare for it. Encore really good into setup sets if, you know, anything on their team wants to set up like the Jirachi or the Sinistcha. U-turn for that slow momentum, take a hit and get into something threatening like Iron Hands or Manaphy or the Spectre, obviously. And then knockoff Foul Play. Really good Foul Play, obviously great into Garchomp. Knockoff great into an EDLite user like Ursaring in the back, a heavy duty boots on the the Torn and potential choice band Azumarill. And then Lycanroc Dusk here, going to be our lead here in this matchup to prevent random Q-to-Fly shenanigans. Taunt, this is going to be a critical move to have on this build as we get into the rest of the video. Accelerock, CC, and Play Rough. So let's now get into the battle now that we know the team. Alright, it's time to get into the battle. They lead Azumarill, I lead Uxie. Wow, what a first turn this is going to be. One of the things that's tough about my specific build, because I don't have Registeel, I don't have a good Fairy switch in. But if I look at this matchup, a lot of what I'm looking at here is like, Uxie in general should be the answer to Azumarill on my team, given the way that I've prepped and built. So I'm assuming a knockoff is going to come off here. I don't have a lot to deal with this Azumarill. I probably should have just knocked here on this turn or U-turned or something just to see what this Azumarill was going to do. I do U-turn to see that it stays in. This turn's so funny. I mean, like, what am I going to do? This is a roll, by the way. And a choice man roll, so I would have gotten at least a free Earthquake off or some sort of move. Look, this is not the best play in the world. At the time, I really just assumed knockoff was going to come out here. I think it was the most obvious move because you're going to stand on Uxie. Uxie can just knock off you, Thunderbolt. Like, Uxie has so much here that I can do to pressure the Azumarill. So staying on an Uxie kind of relegates your Azumarill to either like losing its item, taking a lot of damage. I don't know. That was my thought process. So I go to this. They either knock off and I get a really, really fast Earthquake off to get pretty much all the chip I need for the rest of the battle. Really go into something like Sinistcha and I Ruination or something. I don't know. Look, it wasn't a good play by any stretch, but we see God Iron Hands come out here. Now, I didn't cover too much in the team builder for this, but I've got a lot of speed on Iron Hands here for these kind of situations. I go for the Volt Switch here. There is a ground type in Garchomp in the back, but kind of there's no real reason to worry about Garchomp coming in where Ice Punch can be aggressively clicked at any point. So that speed is going to actually, you know, allows that turn because my speed, I know my Iron Hands is always going to outspeed Azumarill unless it's like a Jolly set, which I think is unlikely. I'm able to go into my my Manaphy, and I get Sun Sword here, which is not great, but I use my Terra Flying to get out of my water typing to allow me to enable this turn to break this Sinistcha. Now, obviously Fairy would have been nice to prevent something like Garchomp from being able to scale shot, but at this point I have to break something on their team now. Considering I've lost Tinglu, I have to start pushing the advantage and getting to the point where they're forced to start using their Torn. So I feel like this is a good opportunity to hit the Stun Spore. Good for them. I go for the Scald here. Scald is the kill on Sinistcha from this HP, so I go for Scald, hoping to get a burn on this Tentacruel. Don't get it. And they're just going to be able to start the momentum out with the flip turn. They bring back in the Azumarill. I just go for the knockoff here. What I probably should have done on turn one, They go for the liquidation. Like, look at how much damage this is doing. And this is kind of what I mean. Like, this is why I was realistically expecting them not to like go for play rough on turn 1, where Uxie can just handle this Pokemon so well. And there's so many turns that can punish this. So yeah, not justifying the play by any means, but that's kind of what I was thinking. Now, play rough, I know this to a KO, not a to a KO after the Citrus Berry. Shout out Jay Ricky for that one. And I'm able to get a double into my Iron Hands. I kind of expect them to switch, honestly. You figured the Energy Ball was such a free click and I live all hits, but I guess they wanted to sack this off, which probably makes sense to do, actually. It gets a free turn into Garchomp. Actually, not Garchomp, but yeah, Garchomp with that HP would have been nice to go into, and Torn, so you know, I take a little bit of HP in my Iron Hands, but I preserve HP in Manaphy, which could actually be pretty important in this battle. And this is where the speed comes in. I'm able to get a massive Thunder Punch off, kill the Azumarill, and then go Sinistcha. I got the speed on Iron Hands. Let's go. Fast Iron Hands. This is one thing, if you take anything away from this video, despite me making some pretty boneheaded plays and not playing well, try to leverage speed on these slower Pokemon that people aren't really paying attention to in the speed tiers in the builder. You can get so much value out of just like putting a bunch of speed on Iron Hands. How much speed did I have on this setting in? Let me go to my team builder. I had a 176 speed on this Iron Hands. Like that's just so much value you can get by, you know, just optimizing your defenses to allow you to run this speed. And this pulls me back into this game. Like I was out of this one, all things considered, very early on. After that Tinglu plan. If I still had Tinglu, this game is probably much different. I have just like an additional answer to this Torn. I've had to get chipped to my Iron Hands, and I kind of have to sack it off here. I could have gone to Uxie, but at this point, Iron Hands had some use, actually. You know, maybe I should have just gone to Uxie. My concern is they can Scale Shot SD and then Scale Shot through Uxie. So I really just have to pressure this Garchomp from not doing that. Because that could be such a disaster. Because I'm able to go Uxie now, and if you see the Scale Shot, they aren't loaded dice, which I wouldn't have known at the time. So I guess that maybe changed the math a little bit, but loaded dice at +2, like just breaks through Uxie. So I have to essentially, and they revealed to be Roselli Berry. It's a risk I don't think I was willing to take at that point, especially when you can come in and knock off or foul play the turn after. And if they just try to go for it against me, and just set up on my Iron Hands, Ice Punch just kills it. So I think I'm okay with that play, kind of in all things considered. It's just preventing losing on the spot there because I didn't have my Fairy Terra left because I tear in my Manaphy, which kind of helps out of this spot because they can't Earthquake me. Their only move might be a Scale Shot. I go for the Ice Beam here. I probably should have just Scalded. There's kind of no world in which they stay in, and Scald gives me another chance at a burn to get Chip on this Pokemon. Chip on this Pokemon's going to be really important for that Spectre endgame that you have going on. And one thing we still haven't to note, we have not broken this Ursaring yet. That is still a problem into the back. A big Scald here. They reveal, as I kind of alluded to in the team builder, they're Terra Poison here, so this Sludge Wave is doing a lot. But I'm able to live and crit with the Scald. So, I mean, I was due a burn. Not really. I guess the expected value was a burn, I think, potentially. No, I've only gone for, what, 3 times? So, yeah, I guess it's a kill. The expected value would be a burn on one of those 3 turns. But that's perfectly fine. I mean, this crit really just gets me back into this game and prevents him from being able to switch out and regen that health back. So, definitely really problematic for my opponent. And now, I'm in a little bit of a tough spot here on what to do, and that I'm kind of running out of Pokemon here. I have Shukaberry and my Lycanroc Tusk to actually pressure this Garchomp, which is really nice. So Play Rough is obviously going to kill at this range. So they're always going to switch out into the Tentacruel. I go for the Play Rough. Good chip. Really need more chip on this Pokemon though, because of the fact that I have what is it, a Cell Rock, Close Combat, a Play Rough. Really need more damage. I go for the Cell Rock here because I know I don't need HP on this Pokemon really to do kind of anything of what I'm trying to do. I go for the Play Rough here, you know, to catch the Garchomp. But Tentacruel, as you see, like, is not in range of this Cell Rock, so really needed either a Skull Burn at some point or just needed another move instead of Taunt. Taunt for the Cutiefly was a good idea, but we had Rock Blast in the builder at one point, which would have been a winning play against the Tentacruel. But we're able to get the Play Rough off, and this game's not over yet by any means. There's still plenty of Pokemon left to be played. I just go into Spectre here. I figure a flip turn's coming, and I can definitely take that plus the next crunch from the Ursa Ring. So I'm good with that. I go for the Dark Pulse. I go for the crunch. Get off my weakness policy. A flinch on either of these 2 turns obviously would have won me the game as well. So, a flinch or a Scald, the calling for hacks is not necessarily the best way to win by any means. But I think at a certain point, one of those, if they would have happened, would have won me the game. But realistically, not having Taunt on this and having some sort of other move like Rock Blast that would have killed in this spot to threaten the Q to fly from setting up Sticky Webs would have been better and probably had me a winning build on that one. So that's this game. Let's get right into the last one. And now we have our final battle of the video here. If you're coming to this video from the video uploaded next week about where we built this team, walking through how do you build a draft league team from start to finish, some additional perspective on things, welcome. I know a lot of you guys are probably coming over from that video and have watched it because of the BBL, so very, very thankful for all of that. We'll do a quick overview. I would encourage you to watch that video when it comes out next week if you're watching it this week. But otherwise, they have Ogerpon Wellspring Terra, one of the best Terras in Pokemon right now. Iron Treads, Iron Bundle, D-Knight, Pheasantipity, Scrafty, Terra Azelf, Dunsparce, Typhlosion, Hisui, and Electros. Overall, I think this is a pretty good matchup for me. I think Spectre has a really good time in this matchup with the set that I am bringing. So you'll see that I have Colbur Berry set. Colbur, once again, coming this week to prevent random Terra Darks from causing a problem. There's another move that we need to prevent in this. It's a good against Scrafty as well, because they could have, I expect like a Roselli Berry here to take advantage of Spectre. There's a lot of random knockoffs that can come out, and obviously knockoffs going to do a million to Spectre where it's got no defense. Boots Tinglu, very, very simple. We have Iron Hands. We have a little bit of speed. Again, speed's really important. We have the speed to make sure we're always outspeeding Scrafty. Scrafty potentially could be something in the end game that we need to deal with. And then Volt Switch is super free on this set because of the fact that Iron Treads doesn't want to switch in very often to this Pokemon. And our Terra is Grass, and it's Grass because it gives us kind of a secondary answer to the Ogerpon Wellspring. It gives us a way to resist EQ from Iron Treads. Grass, it's one of those things that we're probably not going to Terra very often, but it gives us a good option to a good defensive typing against the Ogerpon and creates hard turns against Iron Bundle and the Iron Treads. Rocky Helmet Uxie, very, very much there just to answer the Dragonite. We have a Registeel, very, very Spit F focused. We probably maybe could have done some more calcs to see if we can get some more physical defense for the body press, but 3 attacks rocks. This does a lot of damage. Like, this is a great way to shut down Pheasantipity. It's really hard for my opponent to switch into as well. This is going to pick up a lot of damage in this battle. And then we have Lycanroc Dust, Swords Dance, Boots. This Pokemon's great in this matchup. Salrock is super hard to switch into, really good at catching stuff like the Iron Bundle, the Dragonite without multi-scale, the Typhlosion Hisui. Psychic Fangs after an SD just blows by the Pheasantipity because we expect it to be Spit F because of the Spectre. And then Close Combat, just a great move for Iron Treads and the Scrafty. On my opponent's side, they have Terra Ogerpon Wellspring, so another Ogerpon, not really much to think about here in terms of Terra. They're going to Terra the Ogerpon probably in this battle. But something to keep in mind is this Zelf could be designed to handle Spectre, so something like a Terra Dark or a Terra Normal, very, very possible in this battle. Alright, let's get into the game then. They lead up with the Azelf. It's Terra Ghost. We don't expect that, obviously, to Terra in this battle with something like the Ogerpon being such a relevant Terra, and I'm kind of surprised it's Ghost. Figured Dark or Normal would have been a little bit better, but maybe they're trying to use Ghost as a way to threaten. But you'll see this set here, maybe just trying to throw me off at this point. They go for the rocks and get him up. I go Tinglu because Tinglu can threaten this Pokemon. And they can't really do anything back. At JK, it actually can. It has Endeavor, as I missed the Ruination. Wow, Endeavor, a really good lead set here, which means that their Spectre answer is probably this Pheasantipity, definitely in the back. And Tinglu just get beat up in this video. Oh my god. Everything's just going wrong for Tinglu right now. Eats an Endeavor. And now it can't really do much the rest of this battle. It can pressure Iron Treads, but that's almost about it. They go for the U-turn. I do live, though. I do live, and I'm able to get a nasty heavy slam off here on this Iron Bundle. Not a lot of damage, but definitely we need a little bit of chip for a Salrock range. So that's super good chip to get, and they go for the flip turn, which means I'm gonna get the switch initiative either way. And this allows me to go into Spectre, and this is what I kind of expected normal. I mean, they're never gonna Terra here if they're normal anyway. They're just gonna switch out. But this gives me a really nice Shadow Ball, and I'm going to get some chip on the Pheasantipity because I decided to go for the Psychic instead. I figured with the Terra Ghost, there's no way that they go for attack. And look at the set. You can't stand with Endeavor U-turn as the only ways to hit the Spectre. So I go for the Psychic because I figure it has to be Pheasantipity their next answer. I find out they're Pyapa Berry, so that's actually a big thing to get, dealt with there, is to remove that Resist Berry. Huge turn for me on that one. I'm able to go into my Registeel to eat this U-turn and prevent any Toxic Change shenanigans from going on. Unfortunately, they're able to get the Iron Treads in for free, and Iron Treads is kind of a problematic Pokemon. They just go here for the Rapid Spin, maybe expecting me to set up rocks or just try to get a speed boost here. On offensive set, they reveal to be Substitute as I go for the knockoff, so that's not going to break the Substitute, frustratingly enough, and this is a little bit problematic. I'm trying to think of what they're trying to do with this sequence. Luckily for me, Mega Horn here is doing a lot, but after the Rocky Helmet, the Foul Play breaks the sub. Not really the greatest position for them, so I'm going to have to sack off my Uxie here. They're at 26%, which I think all the berries are at 25. Still, that might just be a Boomer Old Gen thing. But that's really good for me. So this thing is super chipped. It's obviously a +1 speed, which is not great. And I'm able to go into my Iron Hands here. They're going to go for the Substitute. I'm playing the Terra game here pretty extensively. They have Mega Horn and Earthquake, so it's which one do I go for, etc. How do I leverage my Terra? On the spot, I've lost a Pokemon already. I've lost 2 of my biggest defensive answers here. I need to get this Pokemon gone. I need to start kind of turning the tides of this battle. I haven't been able to get my Lycanroc in yet at all to really put pressure on this team. A Cellrock is so good in this team, especially when Iron Treads is down. So I need to get Iron Treads down here. I go for the Terra and the Mega Horn, which I guess is not the worst case. The worst case would be eating an Earthquake, which is kind of why I leaned into Terra Grassing here. I'm able to get to 51%, but now I'm weak to not weak to rocks. I'm not healthy versus rocks, which is not good. Unfortunately, I'm able to stay in here. I kind of figured I've got a little bit of speed on this as well. It's obviously not outspeeding this, but I figured U-turn is so free into Registeel, and they get the poison. Unfortunate. I figured they're going to U-turn here. If they have a poison move, I think I should live all of those, and I get a nasty heavy slam off on this. Because once again, I need to chip this for the Spectre endgame. That is super important here in this spot. And Iron Hands has done a decent amount. I lose an Iron Bundle answer, which is a little bit frustrating as they go into a Zelf here. I go over the Heavy Slam. Heavy Slam, obviously the best move to hit the Pheasantipity, and it kills the Azelf. So we lost 2 Pokemon very early, but we gained 2 back just as quickly. And Azelf, realistically got enough value that it, being sacked isn't a big deal. Wasn't going to get much more. In this battle, I just got to throw away my Iron Hands here. So Iron Hands proving to be pretty good. And once again, Iron Hands is trading for the Iron Treads and the Azelf, really kind of catching me back up. And now, I still got limited options here. Registeel, right? Registeel's going to have to put the work in right there. They're going to go hard into the Pheasantipity. I Body Press here mainly because that covers something like the Scrafty. Not really. Heavy Slam probably would have been the smarter play there either way. But kind of lucky I didn't. They go for the Tailwind here. So really trying to get either the Wellspring to kind of sweep here or the Iron Bundle for Inspect here from being able to check these Pokemon offensively. But luckily for me, since I do know that Body Press doesn't kill, and I do have Stealth Rocks, I can use this turn to get my rocks up. And then I can go for the Body Press here to put it on 1. I probably should have just rocked again to be, if this was a roll, this would look really stupid. I probably should have just Heavy Slammed here to prevent roll shenanigans from getting me here. But hey, it lucked out. We'll take those. And Body Press, once again, just in case they switch into something like Scrafty, just unnecessarily. And the Tailwind peters out, and they go into Iron Bundle, which is interesting. I assume just to get some chip. This puts it in range of Low Kick from Superpower from Ogerpon Wellspring, which they go into next. And this is a really, really tough endgame. We've really kind of caught back up. We've got rid of the Iron Bundle. The Pheasantipity Spectre looks really good. We just need some chip here. Part of the problem is I died to this hit here. So I decided to get really aggressive. I died to the fighting move. I figured the fighting move is super obvious. I make a hard to read and go into my Spectre. And they go for the Taunt, which, interesting. Maybe I'm not sure what Taunt covers here on this turn. I'm not saying it was a Registeel to Iron Defense and just die to Superpower. That's not really going to happen. I was really concerned of like SD Trailblaze or something. Like if they just Trailblaze up and then go for, like they Trailblaze up, go for like a low kick, kill my guy, and then I have to eat a powerful knockoff. Like I'm in a really tough spot, especially with this Scrafty, because Scrafty with the Intimidate, I do have to get chip on that Pokemon to be able to kill Lycanrocs here. So I go hard into this, expecting the fighting move. I get a taunt, so same result here. Really happy about that. I go for the Shadow Ball. They go for the SD in my face, which is really interesting. I guess, I mean, what, you know, they have the freedom to do this. But now another Shadow Ball puts them in range of a Solrock, and they go for the Ivy Cudgel. Knockoff was killing through Colbur anyway at that point, so it didn't really matter. I go for the Solrock here, get the kill, and now we're in a little bit of an endgame scenario, so I definitely have to go straight here into Registeel. Kind of the thinking is I live a Drain Punch here with my Solrock from pretty much all Scrafty sets that we'd expect in this spot. So if I can go into Registeel, I've got speed on this Registeel. I'm almost like 100% sure on this build that I have speed on Registeel, which I do not. I like 8 speed, so not a lot. That's obviously not going to really change the calcs on this because it's 58 speed. So I figured Drain Punch. They go for Drain Punch. They don't really gain any HP back from that. I lose the Intimidate, and I'm able to close combat into close combat and kill through the Drain Punch. They CC, which makes this even more interesting. I'm like, oh, perfect. CC is just 100% killing all sets at this point. I don't have to worry about dying to, you know, with the -1 defense. Like, we're good here. We got the win. Yeah, actually, JK, they have Chople Berry. Not the berry I was expecting in this instance, certainly. Being Chople Berry, I was expecting Roselli Berry, if anything, to give it away to check the spec here, but we lose to Chople Berry, which is, hey, that's good prep. They designed this set to be able to handle the Lycanroc, so hey, good on them for kind of recognizing that. Registeel, hey, put up numbers in this battle, but it just wasn't enough, and that is 0-3 to start the Frost Battle League. Not a great start by any means in this league, but there's still plenty of weeks left. We got 6 weeks left. We can run the table a little bit and make playoffs. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As I said, we got a lot of good competitive Pokemon content coming out on this channel over the next couple of months. BBL is going to be unbelievably awesome over the next couple of months, so you definitely want to be subscribed for that. So, unfortunate run. Fast Iron Hands, man, that's such a good set. I love Fast Iron Hands. Really, really powerful when people aren't really paying attention to that speed tier. Really catch people off guard, but at the end of the day, we're 0-3, and we got a lot of work ahead of us. So we'll see you next time, and as always, have a wonderful day.